what's up, guys? Welcome to the Tranquil Living Uruguay podcast. I'm Vanessa, your host. In this episode, I'm diving into why I think Uruguay is one of the best places to raise a family. So, before we get things started here, I just wanted to wish everyone happy holidays. Last week, we celebrated Thanksgiving in Uruguay, and it was nice. It was just us, our little family. It was actually kind of a busy day. We had a lot of errands and things going on, but we were able to successfully celebrate a nice Thanksgiving meal with the turkey and all the fun sides like green beans, sweet potato casserole, stuffing. Now, our stuffing was homemade because you can't get stovetop or, kind of like the prepackaged stuff here, like in the US. So, in some senses, some things we have to improvise a little bit and do a little bit more from scratch. The turkey itself, we can find here, although Uruguayans don't really eat turkey, to be honest. But luckily, in the larger grocery stores like Devoto or Tienda Inglesa, they do have turkeys. They're called pavitas, and they are imported from Brazil. Now, I love turkey, and I love preparing the turkey every year. It's always been my thing. However, my one gripe with the turkey here is that there's only one option, which is the frozen pavita that comes from Brazil. And my gripe is that it comes like already seasoned, like pre-seasoned, and I just wish I could season my turkey myself. I do add a little bit to it, part of my personal recipe, but um, overall, it comes out great. It cooks great, just like any regular turkey. This year, we cooked ours for the very first time in our pizza oven. We have a pizza oven at the house, and it came out really good, delicious. Um, and my other one gripe is that Uruguay does not have fresh cranberries, and nor do they sell cranberries in a can here. So when it comes around to holiday season, your best bet for cranberries is to just bring some back with you if you ever go to the United States, or if you have family visiting, ask them to bring some, and that's what I've done. So I still have one can. We used one can of, cranberry sauce for Thanksgiving, and we'll be saving our last can that we have for Christmas. And until we ever do another US run or have family come and visit, that's definitely going to be on the list because you can't have a Thanksgiving meal or a Christmas meal without cranberry sauce. And I personally think the good stuff is in the can. But that's personal preference. So, anyways, just kind of a little tidbit on Thanksgiving here. But in any case, let's get into the episode. If you're curious or thinking about moving abroad with kids, Uruguay might just be one of the better places in the world to raise a family. I want to give you an honest and warm look at what makes this country truly special for families. Obviously, your experience as a family living abroad is what you make of it, but at least I can give you some insight into my lived experience for the past 5 years of being here and how it was like raising a kid from a toddler at 1 year old to now 6 years old. So, as a mom raising a kid here, I've watched um, my daughter grow up happy, confident, and deeply connected to nature solely from living in the countryside family. These these four categories are basically like the main things I value and consider crucial to our decision for moving here. So the first one is safety and stability. Uruguay just in general has political and economic stability, which is really important for a family. Um, in general, like citizens are mild mannered, while at the same time, like you see the freedom to speak your truth here. I've never personally seen intense street protesting
like causing road closures or like massive unrest. Every now and then you'll see maybe like a street closure for like a march, or there'll be like union strikes, but those usually last about 24 to 48 hours, and then everything is like back to normal, back in business kind of thing. Crime is usually petty crime. I'm just personally, as I'm out and about walking around, I'm not worried that I or my child will get like caught in the middle of like a mass shooting, which I have been in one before at my job. That's just like not anything that I ever worry about here. Or like a kidnapping situation or scenario. When we were in California, living in San Diego, I kind of just think just like living near the border, kind of always had that in the back of my mind of like a potential like kidnapping. I'd always hear like weird stories about like Target parking lot or like Walmart parking lot, people following you, or just like weird, dangerous stories, to be honest. And that I've never felt that here. I mean, I'm always like personally just like aware of my surroundings all the time, just because naturally that's how I am, but not to the extent of um, when I was living in the United States. I see just like in general, I also see that families feel secure here. And I like the fact that kids are welcome in most situations. And just like by the people, they're just like so appreciative of, the kids. They're not really looked at as like an annoyance, like how I felt it was, growing up for me. There's kind of like an underlying understanding that you're always looking out for the well being and like the best of a child in any situation, even if they aren't yours. So, safety and stability is super. The second category is education in Uruguay. And there are plenty of education options for private and public schooling. For the private, there are bilingual options available. There's like international schools. For example, there's like an American school, a British school, maybe a couple German schools, a French school, an Italian school, or just IB schools if you're looking for that international curriculum. And those are all available definitely in Montevideo. The school minimum requirement is a half day or about like 4 hours per day of education school. There's also full school options as well. Living in Montevideo, you'll have the most amount of options, which is why we chose to live close to Montevideo, the capital. Homeschool isn't necessarily permitted, and if you mention it to a local, they'll usually kind of look at you weird because it's not a thing here. I personally don't consider myself a natural teacher, so homeschooling wasn't really in the cards for us. But I do see a situation where you could homeschool if you choose to, as long as your child is at least enrolled in the half day school system here. Because, like I said, the minimum hours is like 4 hours or like a half day for children here. So they'll either go like in the morning session or the afternoon session. And I suppose if you wanted to homeschool, you could fill the other 4 hours with the homeschooling if you want to do that. There's also, like I said, the full day option with public or private, and it kind of all depends on the school that you choose. In the full day option, there could be other extracurricular activities and subjects built into the day beyond just the minimum requirements. And for private schools, for example, um, like our experience, the school will take the kids like in a bus 2 days a week to the club, which is the club, which is kind of like a fitness center gym um, type place with like Olympic sized swimming pools, and that's where they'll do sports, their PE class, and like swimming classes. And this has been our experience, and it is just like such a fantastic for kids to do. I really wish I had this as a kid, like have an option to like go to like an Olympic sized swimming pool to take swimming lessons. Um,
And for the kids that just do the 4 hour morning or afternoon session, some parents go ahead and pay extra and separately to send their kids to the club because, you know, full-time working parents need extra childcare to cover, their working hours in the day. So if you kind of look at the end of the day, if your child does go to a public school, you kind of end up paying for the childcare in another way. All right, so the third category I'll touch on is healthcare. And healthcare is something that actually does work here in Uruguay. There's, again, options. There's high quality, high end, and I mean, based on where you're coming from, decently affordable, like private hospitals. Then there's the mid range, which I would refer to them as mutualistas, is what they call it here. And then there's the lower end, the basic free healthcare that's state sponsored. So I'll get more into healthcare and our experience. I've had our experience with the high end and like the mid range healthcare options on a future episode, since I have experience with that. But I think just overall, I've been for whatever reason, you're having trouble kind of getting like medical terms across. Usually, if you kind of explain it in English, they pretty much understand. Or at the end of the day, there's also Google Translate and ChatGPT and all those other great technological features that make living abroad and life just a lot more easier. But what I was impressed with, like modern facilities, good medical equipment, great experience with specialists. We've had a combination as a family of, having to do, lab tests, ultrasounds, x-rays for just kind of a variety of reasons. So at the end of the day, Uruguay I think is a great choice just based on the healthcare experience and options. And then the fourth category I would say is that's really important is accessibility to lifestyle and like family friendly amenities. It's undeniable that Uruguay has wonderful beaches and unique, quaint, beach towns all along the Argentinians flock to Uruguay in the summer for our beautiful beaches here. But the other great thing is that there are plenty of opportunities to be out in nature and doing outdoor activities like hiking, kayaking, canoeing on rivers or lakes, fishing, that type of stuff if you're into it. Living near Montevideo, the capital and the largest city in Uruguay, personally gives us more options for kid and family friendly activities, such as like indoor play gyms or indoor trampoline parks. There's a little like theme park with like outdoor theme park with like rides here. There's bowling, and then also in terms of like sports teams and extracurricular activities, for example, more like your kids into dance or karate. There's just like more options for that here. And also the performing arts when it comes to like plays, theaters, live music, all that is here in Montevideo. And living here or actually near Montevideo, we don't like have to give up our comforts that we were used to from back home in the States. We still get access to these everyday luxuries that make life and living abroad just feel familiar and at the same time fun and adventurous for our family. So, lifestyle wise, I'm happy to be raising my kid with balance instead of burnout. I do have our kids like in extracurricular activities, but nothing burdensome. Like there's no competition of like, oh, my kid is in, three different sports this season and every day of the week we have something like no, that's just like so like unrealistic, like as a family. Like, you can't even enjoy yourself like as a parent, as an adult, as a kid, when you're just kind of like running around back and forth carpooling kids here and there, this practice, that practice. I mean, a school day is hard enough for a kid. So, and also like a full work day for like a parent to just be involved in like so many activities just to say your kid is in it. I just find it to be overwhelming personally. So balance is the key. So at the end of the day, I am just really happy we chose Uruguay because it does offer like this peaceful, grounded lifestyle. And I think it just allows kids to grow up like physically, spiritually, and emotionally healthy above all. And that I know is thriving. And it's more than I could ever ask for, my family and my child to be physically, spiritually, and emotionally healthy. That that's success to me. So anyways, thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed it. Before I go, if you do have a question about what life is like in Uruguay, I invite you to do an AMA and ask me anything about life in Uruguay in terms of living abroad, travel, cultural experiences, or even farmhouse living. Nothing's off limits. So you can go ahead and submit your questions at bit.ly/ask TLU. That is bit.ly/ASKTLU, all lowercase. So ask TLU, Tranquil Living Uruguay. And if you want more of this content, please like, follow, subscribe, and or write in a review because I'll read them all. Cheers!